All right, happy September. It's basically the end of summer, and it's about time that I did a proper layout update. This summer really hasn't been about making massive leaps forward on the layout. It's been a lot more about just having some fun, making some small progress, and a lot of learning. And so that's been the theme for me lately, fun and learning. And it's interesting because that frame of mind took me into two amazing field trips this summer. The first trip was to the Ontario Southland Railway, where I got a tour of the shops in the surrounding yard. And then the second field trip was to the biggest model railway in the world, Miniatur Wunderland in Hamburg, Germany. So, lots to talk about, lots to share. Let's get started.
So, I picked up a few things over the last couple of months. One was a pair of Amtrak passenger cars. The Maple Leaf that runs between Toronto and the US commonly uses Amfleet passenger cars, and I wanted to get a little closer to matching that prototype on my layout. I also came across a Canadian National Bud car, which fits perfectly with my favorite part of the Via Rail story, the mix of CN and CP equipment that they threw together in the early years. The real find was a book on the turbo train. It's been out of print for years. It usually sells for hundreds of dollars, and somehow I found a near new copy for under $20. That one really meant something, especially since I already have the turbo train in my collection. I've also been shifting from 3D printing into laser cutting. 3D printing is great for detail work, but for structures and scenic work, I think laser cutting is the way to go. So I've been working on designs for my Aldershot station platforms. It's a big project, almost 10 feet long, and right now I'm just trying to lay the foundation, getting the platforms and the station structure sorted out. What I'm looking forward to is the next stage, the weathering, the detailing, and making it feel like it belongs on the layout. Over the last couple months, I've been experimenting with some AI tools, mainly using photographs to create 3D models. I'm not going to get into the detail of it yet because I'm saving that for another video, but I'll say this much. It's been a big part of my summer. Now, at the end of August, I had a chance to visit the Ontario Southland Railway. That visit was arranged by Sparky 107 as part of the annual YouTube meet and greet. It was a pretty rare chance to tour the Shortline and its shops, and for me, it really hit home. Aside from passenger operations, I've always been drawn to small, unique railroads. The Windsor and Hansport in Nova Scotia and the Guelph Junction. So when I turned the corner at the OSR shops and found myself face to face with like 10 RS units, each in a different paint scheme, it was incredible. These aren't locomotives that I see day to day, or actually ever. They're humble, they're working units, and seeing them again reminded me exactly why I got obsessed with shortlines years ago. Now, inside the shop, we couldn't take photos, but what I learned was amazing. They still keep a pair of F units in pristine condition, and in the wintertime, they use them with a 100-year-old CN snowplow. The reason they use F units is simple. The smooth cowls don't collect snow in the same way that boxy modern power does. Practical, and actually kind of brilliant. Also, a shout out to the people of OSR. Their crews were relaxed, generous with their time, and happy to let us explore. That atmosphere made the whole visit feel real. And you know what stuck with me the most was the sense of history layered in this place. Old box cars, maintenance of way equipment, stored locomotives, a mix of working power and artifacts from another era. It was awesome. A short line like the Ontario Southland is full of character, and it's modelable. You can look at it, understand how it works, and imagine how to fit it into a layout or turn it into the complete layout. Now, finally, Hamburg, Germany. I had the chance to visit the famed Miniatur Wunderland. The exhibition is tucked inside an old red brick warehouse near the harbor, and when you walk upstairs, the first thing you see is North America. The North American part of the layout hit all the familiar notes. The desert, the Rockies, Las Vegas, Miami. The modeling is great, with animations everywhere, and they even went so far as to have a GO Transit locomotive in the mix. But it felt like a collection of themes more than a specific place, and it left me wondering actually what the rest of the exhibition was going to be like. And then I turned the corner into the scale version of Hamburg. there was an enormous harbor filled with real water, transport ships, and front and center was the wave roof building. I had just seen it earlier that day in real life. From there, the scale and complexity of Miniatur Wunderland just kept growing. The Swiss Alps are 2 stories tall. There's an erupting volcano, planes landing and taking off, massive passenger stations, even Vatican City and festival grounds. Honestly, Miniatur Wunderland is overwhelming. Every single inch had a story. Every balcony had a scene. There were UFO sightings, ski jumps, saunas, side streets. I took hundreds of photos and video because there was no way for me to take it in during all one visit. You could go back over and over and over again and find something new forever. It was a great experience and it left a real impression. What struck me the most about this was even though it's a model railway, the trains are secondary. They justify the existence of the scenes, but the scenery makes it all work. That first North American section left me wondering, but Hamburg and the rest of the world answered all the questions. The focus was on realism and story, and it was all balanced with whimsy. 3 things stood out. First, the cities. The density, the variety, the narrative, that's something I want to push for in my own work. Secondly, that balance of realism and whimsy. The world felt totally believable, but the details were playful and sometimes absurd, and that combination really works well, or at least it works really well for me. And third, I realized I just need to get on with it. I need to stop second guessing and just get going. I need to pick something, I need to commit to it, and just keep building. Bottom line, Miniatur Wunderland was mesmerizing.
That's what I've been up to this summer. A few new small pieces for the layout, some experimenting with laser cutting and AI tools, a visit to the Ontario Southland Railway, and of course, Miniatur Wunderland in Hamburg, Germany. So I'm going to keep chipping away at the layout. I think I'm going to be able to start making some progress into working on some scenic details, and we're moving into my favorite time of year, autumn, fall, spooky season, and I'm hoping I can lean into that in the coming months. As always, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.